Hello there. Welcome to this nerdlit episode of the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Fatchett. And in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about the technical aspects of photography. I recently saw a photographer with tens of thousands of followers ranting on social media about technical BS and not needing to understand technical elements of photography that, basically going off about how I picked up a camera over a decade ago and I took a photo on auto and it was still great. And you don't need to know all this technical stuff. And technical knowledge is the least important thing when it comes to producing a good photo. What do I think about that? Does technical knowledge still matter in photography with, all of the advancements in camera technology and, photo editing? Does it really matter? And my answer is yes. Of course it matters. While I don't think every photo needs to be technically perfect, and I don't think that technical elements are what necessarily is going to make or break a photo, they definitely make you better and they make you more consistent. Having knowledge of things, of how the exposure triangle, that is quote unquote technical BS, if anything, is the exposure triangle. Understanding the exposure triangle is going to make you so much better as a photographer, and you're going to be able to do so much more on a more consistently. Isn't that what it's about? Sure, I can set everything to auto and let the camera do all of the work, but what if things go wrong? What if I want to do better? What if I want to be more consistent? What if I want to shoot manually because my camera can't figure out what's going on? That's, oh, I better know some technical BS, because if I don't, I am not going to be able to consistently create images no matter the situation that I'm in. And one of the things I mentioned this about, I've done articles and videos about it, is the metering system in your camera. So many people don't understand how your camera metering works. I'll go and do a shoot and I'll pull out my light meter and meter a few different spots on my subject. And, these other photographers who were there for the workshop or whatever are looking at me and they're going, why are you doing that? Why don't you just use the meter in your camera? And I have to explain to them how the metering in the camera works. Your camera is, while it can do a lot of things very quickly, and the autofocusing and metering and etc., it's also dumb. It does what you tell it to do. It doesn't just figure things out on its own. And you are the creative element here. You are the creative person here. You want it to expose a certain way, you have to know how the metering works. There's I don't know, usually 5 different metering modes. There's evaluative of the whole scene, center weighted, spot metering, whatever. There's a bunch of different ones. And to know how each of those different modes meters the scene helps you understand what kind of photo you're going to get, because I can take the picture on, aperture priority or whatever, and change those metering modes and take a picture of the same scene in each different mode and get a different exposure every time. Guess what? Without all that technical knowledge, you're not going to get the same types of exposures over and over and over again. You're going to get wildly different varieties of exposures. So it's good to know the technical stuff and things like how flash works, the inverse square law, how you need, if you have your subject is twice as far away from the light, you need quadruple the power to that's having that knowledge and being able to have that technical backstop there is what helps you, again, create images no matter what the situation is. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of the universe and your camera making decisions for you. You are not the creator driving the photo, making the photo. You're letting other things make the photo for you if you don't understand technically how these things work. The more you understand those things, the more control you have. And, that's the lesson for today, folks. Keep that in mind. When you start thinking there, you're like, oh, this is boring, I don't want to learn this stuff. You learn these things, you acquire this knowledge, It is a tool in your toolbox. I always say that, like, people say, like, oh, flash, I don't need flash, I'm a natural light photographer. Well, there might come a time when the photo you want to make isn't possible to be made with natural light. And if you're, like, for example, if you're trying to do a shoot, if you're trying to do headshots for a corporate headshot session, and you've got to do 40 people in the same day, you're not going to get consistent lighting for every person if you're using natural light. It's just not going to happen. There are going to be fluctuations throughout the day. Even if you're getting sun pouring in through the window all day long, forget about like even a cloud going by. But even if you have like direct sunlight all day long, and you're still going to have fluctuations. So if you want consistency, you need to learn to know how to use lighting to create consistent images. Otherwise, like I said, you are at the whim of nature or whatever, your camera, whatever. You are not the one controlling the camera. The camera is controlling the photo, unless you know the technical BS behind those things. And also like stuff like, oh, I don't need to know what an f-stop means. I don't know, like, yeah, maybe you don't need to know what it means, but it'll help you understand why you can't have, a 300 millimeter, f1 lens. There's a reason. And maybe that's a topic for another conversation, but please don't think of the technical knowledge as boring and unimportant. The technical learning in photography gives you tools to use your creativity, using those tools to make images. Throwing that out of the way, like I said, is offering up your creative ability, your knowledge, your creativity. You're just sacrificing your creativity by saying, oh, well, my camera does it on its own, or it does this or does that, and I don't need to know these things. You are less involved in the process. So please take that with you, and I hope you enjoyed this nerdlit episode. Be sure to subscribe and tune in and follow us on the social media at The Nerdy Photo. And until next time, stay safe and stay nerdy.